Welcome, everyone. This is Glenda Dawson, and you're watching Glenda's Dragons Den. I want to take this opportunity to thank you for being here. And if you're watching this later on, for sharing it, definitely sharing it and getting the ability, giving the ability for others to see all the different perspectives and all the different messages that are being spread out, but sometimes people don't get to see it because you forget to share. So share, share, share. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. I don't charge for that. All the everything that go is available to everyone. So there's meditations, there's Reiki, there's channeling, there's this, of course, this beautiful show that I've started since 2019. So please let's keep it going. Tonight I have a very good guest who's going to be a little different than my usual guest, but that is why I like this show because I bring anything from dragons to authors to spiritual people to military people and so on, so on, so on. So, with that being said, welcome, MD Selig. How are you?
I'm super pleased to be here. Thanks, Glenda. I'm really honored.
Honor is mine. So, tell us about yourself, how you got to here.
Sure. So, how did I get to your podcast, or how did I get to this special place in time?
Special place in time. Never
Okay,
mind
let's
my
start with that
podcast.
one. So, so I'll kind of flip the script a little bit. You nailed it when you said, sometimes I have spiritual people, and sometimes I have other folks, and then I have military people, and what I'll say is I'm probably most of all of that. In that I kind of start from a spiritual place each day. I get up and I don't turn on technology, and I sit. And sometimes that happens twice in a day. And I have found over the last 4 years that that's been a game changer, all the way to the molecular level for me, to where now, even when I talk about it, I can start to feel it. I go completely here,
Hmm.
and this is just the decoder of what this is
Beautiful,
putting
beautiful.
out. But as far as this reality here, for what we visually see, I quick Reader's Digest version of my background. I came out of the University of Arkansas with a history degree, went right into flight training. I was accepted into flight training for the Marines, which means I go through Navy flight training. So I went to Pensacola, Florida, kind of did what you see in the early part of Top Gun, the movie back in the
Hmm.
day, going through all the flight training. And then I was selected to fly jets. And then from that, I went into jet training for a year and a half out in Texas, where if we crash, we can't really hit anything because it's just cow pastures.
Hmm.
And then, and that's literally why they do it. I think the base was at Beeville, Texas, and I think now it's like a state prison. So you either get one or the other. You get a military base or a state prison because there's really nothing else out there except cows, and it's flat. So, but from there, I was selected to fly A6 Intruders, which is a two-seat attack jet. So a bombardier navigator sits next to me. I then went with my squadron in 1991, and we participated in Operation Desert Storm. So I flew combat missions,
Well, thank you for your
and kind of,
service.
yeah, thank you. And kind of a wild thing around that, and we'll get into that a little bit later, is because I was flying missions, knowing what exactly was happening on the ground. But I was also, my billet at the time in the squadron. You have different billets. Like you're always a pilot, but you're going to be like the maintenance officer. So you're kind of in charge of squadron maintenance. Or in my case, I was the intelligence officer.
Okay.
And so I'm reading top secret briefs
Mm.
throughout the evolution of Operation Desert Storm. And then on top of that, I'm going to the mess hall at night where all the officers are eating. And it's just a huge warehouse. There's NATO. Everybody is at this base that I'm at on the southern tip of Bahrain. And I'm watching CNN nightly. So I'm getting three different kind of versions of what I'm participating in, or at least I'm participating in something the top secret briefs are saying something else is occurring, and CNN is saying something else is occurring. So that was my first kind of, if I give you a Reader's Digest version of how I got to this show, I wrote a book called Hush, which is all about some of the things I just talked about. It's about your covert history up until about the 1940s. And because that book was just released, fortunately, it's just kind of taken off. It's become an international bestseller. And then I get to meet Glenda. And so that's a Reader's Digest version of how I got here. And I should say that after I got out of the military, which I was in for 8 years, I went into film and television. So I wrote screenplays for many years down in Los Angeles. And for many different production companies, I produced movies. I had a show on Netflix and Showtime called Southern Justice. I have a current show, a sci-fi pilot on Amazon Prime called The Gunrunner Billy Kane. And just within the last 3 years, all I did was write Hush.
Well, it's a perfect title, really. And I'm definitely going to have the links to get your books and all that. So people, don't worry, don't rush and try to write where it is. Everything's going to be in the description. So tell us what exactly pulled you to write the book.
Good question. So I'm the type of person that does massive research. Even if I'm writing a love story for a production company, if someone is a excavator driver, I'm going to have to go drive an excavator to know how to write about being an excavator driver, right? I'm just that guy that I can't splat out a scene until I know it as organically as I can.
Right.
So what was occurring for me was, as I was starting to delve into, there seems to be some other reality going on here around us. That's what was happening for me. Even before I went into combat and the experiences that I just told you about, I just had a sense like our government is not in charge. There's no government in charge here. I had a sense that something else was pulling the strings. And it wasn't a spiritual feeling. It wasn't God or us as love pulling the strings. I knew it was something that I needed to investigate. Let's put it that way. I just thought that there's somebody else is manipulating this whole thing, this reality that we see, or this visual that we see. So as I was writing and researching kind of the alien question, and the book is essentially about your covert history from the 40s forward, and to my best research, the actual covert events that have taken place that have wound up to where we are today, to where people are trying to get disclosure and they're not getting it, and they're not going to get it. But we can perhaps go into that later. But what I was fascinated with was, how did I get so deceived? Because the more I got into my research, the more I realized I have been hoodwinked my whole life. Like they have pulled the wool over my eyes, and I'm a pretty smart person. I'm not totally Neanderthal-ish, although I will say that Neanderthals were also quite brilliant from what I understand. But people like to use that term, and I have in the past. So I'll just say I considered myself to have at least a part of a brain, and that I just could not believe that I had been deceived and was still being deceived, and am still being deceived, right? So I had been reading all these different factual accounts of people having encounters with aliens, of people working on ships, reverse engineering for military contractors, of people having spiritual connections with aliens from different races. So many events, right? Over all these many years that written books have been put out. And then, of course, I was online watching people talk about their encounters, their missing time, their this, that, and the other. There's just too much evidence for me to say that they're not here. So I knew they were here, they being anything other than human.
Right.
Multidimensional, spiritual, call it what you want. I knew there was something else, a presence here, some good, some bad, but I just felt the presence. Like, okay, we're not alone. We're not just. It's not just humans here.
Right.
So in writing the book, my reason, back to your original question of why did I write the book, I wanted to take a character. In this case, it's Viola Kells. I won't tell you much about Hush, but I will tell you that she's a physicist. And she is going to go through in the book the same process that I went through in realizing, damn, this is real. And what I've been told, that there's no such thing as aliens, and I'm not seeing ships, and I'm not supposed to believe anybody that says anything about the alien presence.
Mm-hmm.
None of that is real. And now I have somehow got to figure out how to flip it and continue to flip it daily, and to have the courage to say, I don't believe anymore
Mm-hmm.
that there's not others here. And that's a hard thing to say, because I come from a very conservative family.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to step out even to my family and go, you may think I'm crazy, but I'm bringing it. I'm coming from love. And all I can tell you is I know what I know, and what I know is perhaps your other actual reality.
Right. Mm.
So that's how the book came about.
Well,
Was that a long-winded answer, Glenda?
that was
Sorry
a great
about that.
answer. No,
Was it
that's
good?
okay.
Okay.
It was good. It was good. It's your truth.
Right.
Long, short, it's your truth. And that's what we're looking for. It's very hard, like you said, to come out of anything that's out of the norm. What we get cattled into, or pushed into a box, and if you're out of that box, it's like you're crazy. You're seeing things. You put your medication if you say the wrong thing to the wrong person. Whatever the case may be. So
Mm-hmm.
it takes a lot of courage, and especially to the family. I think coming out to the family takes more courage than coming out to strangers in
You're
in
probably right
anything.
now that I think about it. Yeah, because
Yeah,
you want love from your family, right? So
right,
it's more risky, and you're afraid, well, if I lose them, what have I got?
right,
Right?
exactly. And a stranger could either love you or not love you, and it's like still a stranger.
Right.
So, um, okay.
That's a very good
Now,
point. Very good
did
point.
you did you see ships?
No, I I do have my one great experience when I was senior in high school.
Okay.
I was listening to loud rock music up in my room in my house that was about 20 miles away from downtown Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw this crazy light going back and forth all the way across the 20-mile skyline that I could see, because I was so far away. I could see the entire Seattle skyline and way beyond it. So I knew it was about 20 miles across.
Right.
And this light was zooming back and forth and going up and down and doing all these right angle turns. And I knew, because I was so fascinated with aviation at that point, I knew everything in our arsenal that was high speed and high tech. But this thing was doing Mach moves
Oh.
in every direction over the city. Well, I was just about to pick up the phone and call KISR Rock Radio with Steve
Rock
Slayton.
radio.
And I was going to call Steve Slayton and say, Steve, you're not going to believe it. But I didn't have to. All of a sudden, the music shuts off. Steve Slayton comes on and he's like, all right, I got to tell you, well, I'm just going to shut the music down. We're having all these calls coming in, and everyone is saying there's some kind of UFO over the city. And I was just so elated. I was like, yes. As a 12th senior in high
You
school,
were
like,
not
yes,
the only one.
I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was my big, reveal for me of like, okay, well, I definitely saw something that nothing in known human science at that time, at least from an aeronautical standpoint, could do.
Right.
So I got to see my first one on that day.
Well, that was great because you got affirmation of it and
Tons
confirmation
of
of
it.
it.
Oh,
Right,
that went
right
on for the
away.
next 2 hours, where everybody's calling in saying it was right over us and it was doing crazy stuff. And so that was fun.
Very good, very good. So, but you did not see while you were in the military or experience anything that you know of.
I did not.
Yeah.
I would be happy to tell you if I had some
Right.
extraordinary experience, but on some level, I feel directed. I will tell you that. That, and I tell Lincoln, my buddy and my assistant here, that I wrote Hush. I didn't use AI or anything else. I'm a writer. That's what I
Right.
do. But I
Right.
can tell you this: Hush was written by a committee, because the stuff that came to me, I'm just saying, I didn't write Hush. All I'm
Mhm.
saying is there's been a lot of help and stuff that's come with this story. And I've written for so long, I know when something extraordinary is happening. And I can tell you with Hush, it was directed.
Right. So you were basically channeling the information.
Exactly. I felt
Right.
like I was a conduit, and I'm like, okay, I'll do it. I'll put it out. Here I go. And scenes would come way faster and way more organized than I could have ever done. And the way the book came together and the things that occurred. So I'll give you a great example. This is kind of fun. There's a scene in Hush about a mermaid
Mm-hmm.
who is real within the earth. And I went to a hotel room not too long ago, and I'm just a couple minutes into the hotel room. It's on the beach of all places. And there's this picture on the wall, but it's not a picture. It's an artistic drawing of a skeletal, the full skeletal of a mermaid.
Ooh.
And what's wild is I had written my mermaid with, like, she's 9 feet. I'll tell you a little bit of details of her. She's
Yeah, go
9
ahead.
feet tall and, you know, faster than a surface dolphin. And she's below the water in the sunlight coming through the water, and she's standing on this on a shelf on a cliff of a seawall deep in the ocean. But I had wrote her with like long feet, but she had a dorsal fin and she had everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at the skeletal thing and I'm realizing, oh, there's no feet. It's a dorsal fin. And that's it. And that's how the committee comes through. They're like, rewrite that to have the real deal, because she's real. And so I rewrote it, and it rewrote like that, and it's
Mm-hmm.
so much more beautiful, and she's now as real as she is.
There you go. It
Wild
it's
stuff.
it's amazing to me when they channel through us because it's like the stuff that you could never even think about, you could never even imagine. There's just what can or cannot come through, and that your own repertoire, and you're like, I didn't know that. Really?
And,
Okay.
and Glenda, their humor at the way they do it, they put it on the wall of my hotel. Really? That's just too funny. Like, they're like, go wait till he sees this. It's like
Right.
they have a blast. They have a blast messing with me, and it's just like, okay, I got it, got the message. Okay, I
Yeah.
got it. I'm gonna rewrite it tonight. Like, oh, it's so fun.
And they have a great sense of humor.
Hmm.
Or whether it's ET, whether it's angelic beings, or just light beings in general, whatever it is, they have a great sense of humor. You could ask for, a peanut, and all of a sudden, they give you the peanut, but they give it to you in the shell, in the seed pod, into this, into that, and you're like, I asked for a peanut, like one peanut. I really have to work through all this? And they think it's funny because you got to work through all that to get it.
So I'm gonna go next level now.
Okay.
I'm gonna say that the committee
Mm-hmm.
is you, not
Mm-hmm.
you, Glenda. I'm going to say the committee that I'm talking about
Mm-hmm.
is just me as love. And the committee that's directing it, I say it's a committee because the committee of me as love plays on so many levels that it just reminds me, like, yes, I can play on the funny level of having it on the wall. I'm going to show me everything that I need to know to write this story for whoever's going to read it.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes when people say, well, they're kind of funny in this, I think, yeah, that's a possibility. But the more I'm participating,
Mm-hmm.
the more I'm realizing, don't look outside yourself. The multi-dimensional, multifaceted love being that you are
Mm-hmm.
is probably just having fun. And you're realizing, oh, I'm fun too.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Very true. Very true. Yes, that's a great point. That's a perfect point. So, what when you got this out? I mean, we're talking about somebody who was in the Marines and a pilot and all that other stuff, and really into the military, which you do have a certain experience there. What happened when you wrote the book and you especially this book? I know the other books are more, they're a little different. They're more for Netflix and all that other stuff. But
Right.
this book, um, what did your friends and family say? Did they just,
It's been a very um kind of humbling experience for me because I was assuming, kind of like what you and I talked about, presenting it to my family. I'm like, okay, well, they're just going to think I'm off the hook, but I'm coming from love. So I'm bringing it,
right,
right?
right,
I'm not
right,
stopping. I'm
yeah,
coming.
right,
And when you come from that place, at least my experience of just recently releasing this book, the amount of friends and even my family that have stepped up and said, not just, it's not like they come forward and go, okay, now I believe everything because you've said it.
right.
It's more just like they're saying, wow, this is incredible. You're really bringing up some ideas for me and this, that, and the other. And that's the purpose of the book, right? Is
Mm-hmm,
to bring love and to say, hey, the others that are here, the malevolent ones especially, are here because of fear, because of
mm-hmm,
what we as humans are about to explode into, and it's happening as we speak. And they can't stop it. The malevolent ones can't stop it. They've tried to. They got here way before we arrived, and they've tried to set up everything to control us. And
mm-hmm,
it's failing. And now humans, right now, if you step into your heart, you're part of it. And you're going to be part of something that is inexorably coming right now. You're in the midst of it.
mm-hmm.
Sophia is rising, right? The planet. Some people
Yep.
call her Gaia. I just happen to call her Sophia.
Mm-hmm.
The stuff that's occurring in the multiverse, all I can say is you're in the right spot at the right time. But to answer your question of how was it received, it has been kind of shocking to me how many people have responded completely opposite. I just thought, okay, well, that one's going to call me crazy and I'll just let it go. That's not been the case. They have actually stepped
Wonderful.
forward to say, I just want you to know I'm reading your book and I can't put it down and blah, just really, I'm like, Jack is reading the book? Really? This is like hardcore dude. Like, no, there's no aliens. There's no nothing. So
Mhm.
it's been that type of thing,
So
even with my family.
it's been
Yeah, it's been
finally
wonderful.
bringing in remembrance to them.
Exactly, right,
Right.
right.
Yes.
Because when you write truth, when they
Mhm.
read it, even though they're reading fiction,
Right.
something on some level says, "Hey, hey, hey,
Mm-hmm.
this this feels awful close to home."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. Now, let's see. What what do you know, or what has brought you to um, well, what kind of information do you know anything about Roswell aliens or anything like that? Like, everybody talks about Roswell. Some people have had experience, some haven't. Some have been told not to say a word. Some had to sign contracts for the rest of their
Oh,
lives. You know, I do know a few military people that have had to sign contracts, and they cannot say anything, but they have it already. So when they go, the family presents it.
good.
Hopefully, hopefully.
So you're in for a treat with the book. So the book
Okay.
starts. The book is all of your covert history, including Roswell,
Okay.
from the early 40s all the way till, I take it, this is volume one of a series, right? So
Okay.
this is a covert evil. Excuse me. The book's title is Hush, A Covert Evil, Volume 1. This is
Hmm.
the Volume 1 in a series, and I'm going to continue the covert history, but this one will take you up through the 50s, but you will get a full dousing in exactly what occurred at Roswell, including having me step into Mac Brazel's head. Mac Brazel is kind of the center of the whole thing because he found the big field full of foil, and
Right.
he thought it was foil, and then realized, oh, in the other field 2 more miles away on my property, he rides out there and finds 5 dead aliens.
Right.
So and then the Army gets involved, and he's put through the ringer for over a week, and eventually his son is, suspicious circumstances, just disappears. Just
Mm-hmm.
awful stuff.
Right.
But all of the things that you mentioned are in Hush, and I can promise the readers that I have the research when I get into it is super intense. So even though I'm writing from the fictional character's head of whatever character I've got you in Roswell,
Mm-hmm.
if they walk to a store, Wade's bar, that's what was there. If they go to a radio station at a certain area of Roswell, that's what was there at the time. If Mac Brazel is held in a certain place, that place is still there.
Okay.
So my research is super intense about moment to moment. Where was this person? Who saw him? Who says they saw him? Who's the daughter of this person? Where did she say he was? And like I said, I can't write a scene until I organically know everything. I can literally find out. I read every book on it. I watch all the videos on anybody who's talking about Roswell, and then I watch I then, try to do any kind of physical research that I can. And so when you're reading the story,
Mm-hmm.
if Mac Brazel is walking from one part of his ranch to another, that's because that's what occurred, because D. Proctor was there and saw him do it, and D. Proctor gives a little testimony about that. So it's that type of thing that you're getting a
So
pretty
you
accurate picture,
right.
as close as I can get it to what was actually occurring in the moment with each one of those characters.
So basically, you are people can live those experiences through
Exactly.
what you wrote.
Exactly.
You know, it
Yep.
isn't just, oh, it was 2 fields down. No, you saw him drive, you saw him go, you saw him
Yeah,
experience.
and you're inside the head of these characters. So the
Right.
reason I do that is because I want you to know what it's like
Mm-hmm.
to be Eisenhower looking at his first dead alien, realizing, oh my goodness, this is a creature, a
Mm-hmm.
humanoid from off this planet. We are not alone. So he's going through all these emotions, but
Right.
he's got people around him who are watching him for his response. So
Mm-hmm.
he's trying to hold it together, but he's a Christian guy. All the guys back then were Christians, and they're looking at not only dead but an alive alien, going, okay, he's got 6 fingers and he's from another planet, and they came here in that crash ship, and that crash ship made no noise and made mock maneuvers, and we couldn't even shoot it out of the sky because their technology is so far beyond us. And holy cow,
Exactly.
now
Exactly.
what, right? And
Yeah.
Eisenhower is not even president at that point,
Right.
so he's just gone through the war. I mean, it's 1947, but he's the supreme Allied commander that we will always know as like Eisenhower. He's Ike,
Right.
and
Right.
he is freaked out. So you can imagine what it was like for all the folks during the
Well,
Roswell weekends.
yeah.
Yeah.
So even now, if we see actual physical right there, the human, even though we know they exist, we know they're there, and they're right. They could be right next to me for all I know. I just don't see them. Um, People still freak out. The mind still cannot handle because now it's reality. You actually see it. So puts it in a whole different other concept, a whole different other level when you talking about it versus you actually experiencing it. So
And
and
think
back
about this,
back
and you're
then,
right, Glenda. Think about this for a second. why are you having that reaction?
Mm.
If you think about that, you think, well, because I've been told there's no such thing as aliens and no such thing as other life other than humans since I've been a baby. And
Mhm.
if I even alluded that there might be other life out in the universe, people would be like, "Yeah, right, dude, you're crazy."
Mhm.
So so the mind control from the cabal is so ingrained that even you and I are saying if there was an alien next to us, we'd be like, "Oh my God." Whereas it wouldn't be that way if all of our lives we
Mhm.
had been whispered like, "Oh, there's trillions of races in the multiverse," which there are. And
Yes.
some come here and some live here and some live within the earth.
Yep.
And there's
There's the,
vehicles
and there's the hybrids,
everywhere.
the ones
There's
that
the
are,
hybrids, and
yeah,
there you go. So it
right.
wouldn't be such a shock, right? We would just
Right.
be like, "Of course there's aliens." But the reason it's such a shock, the reason we have to see something in person and then go, "Oh my God, it's one of the," is because it's been so ingrained through the cabal's mind control for
Mhm.
so many millennia that there's no such thing as anything but humans.
Right. Right. I, on the other hand, have been blessed to have. I've had a lot my gifts my whole life, so I've been able to see a lot more than other people, and I did
Mm,
have my mother and my grandmother and my great grandmother to kind of guide me when to hush, when not to hush.
right.
Technic, for real.
Mm,
Because they would say, if you say too much, honey, you're going to be taken and put away into an insane asylum. And that's the last we're going to see of you because they're going to give you all that electricity in your head, shock you back into the reality that's supposed to be, and you will not exist anymore.
mhm,
So I knew how to when to say things, when not to say things. And now I'm a
mhm.
little more open. Of course, I'm doing this type of stuff, but but yes, it is. Sometimes it's still you talk about it and people are like, "There are no aliens," and I'm like thinking to myself, how can you even think that we're the only living beings that can exist in all these universes, all these galaxies, and you have proved that there's other galaxies and other planets and all this stuff, and yet you say we're the only ones, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Mhm.
I'm not going to change that one's mind right now. I'll just
Right,
wait until
right.
they're ready. But that's
I think you
unfortunate.
said the key right there, Glenda. You said the key. You keep talking about it, and I'll keep talking about it. And
Mm-hmm.
when they're ready, they'll
Mm-hmm.
take a small step just like you and I did
Yeah.
over time. I mean, it sounds like for you, you've had some pretty amazing experiences that stepped you ahead quicker. But for me, I
Mm-hmm.
go through the same process that perhaps some of your new listeners going through
Yeah.
where they're like, "Okay, well, that just sounds like horsepucky," but then I believe one little tidbit of what you say, and the next
Right.
show, I'm like, "Well, maybe now I'll go a little more of a tidbit,"
Right.
and what my point is that it's you
Mm-hmm.
talking about it and
Mm-hmm.
everyone continuing to talk about it, that the folks who are who kind of know something's wrong and they're trying to adjust like I was several
Mm-hmm.
years ago,
Mm-hmm.
that's where we start to have some softening and we
Right.
start to absorb some of this new information and go, oh my, there's seems to be a whole nother reality around me and I don't want to see it. So let's see what's there. And that's what's great is the shows
Right.
like this.
Right. And it's like, I keep saying it's a puzzle, and you keep adding little pieces. And once there's a piece that they is shiny for them, then they're like, oh, wait, I love this piece. Let me see if I could build the whole puzzle. And,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
definitely, definitely. But, like I said, there, I am very, I could honestly say I'm grateful and proud of all the military people who
Mm.
actually can step out and talk about this.
Mhm.
Because I know a lot. I know a few that are even on MUFON. They've actually joined MUFON and they're really very active there. And they're like, we could participate, but I can't talk about what happened then just yet. I will, but not just yet. And I'm like,
Mhm.
you know, I give you all the credit, because just by you saying that, it, it's it's it speaks volume to me.
Sure. Yeah,
So
because they're saying stuff is real and is occurring. I just can't talk about it,
right,
but they're basically saying to you, you're on the right track. Keep going.
right,
I'll confirm it for you when I can.
right, right.
Yeah.
So we were talking about you were talking about the Kabbalah. Uh, Tell us a little more of what has that have experience with that. What is your experience with it? What How did you get to your statement that you say that it's been mind washing us or mind controlling us, basically?
Hmm. Hmm.
So,
So, my experience with flying in combat, then watching CNN, then reading the top secret stuff, I had a sense that there was a parallel reality happening that had nothing to do with what I was doing. That the top secret briefs I were reading, some of them kind of alluded to uh, uh, alien encounters or alien transactions going on, because I was reading everything because I was in between flying these
mhm,
combat missions. It's a lot of downtime.
mhm,
So, and I had to read them anyway for my squadron, but I just had a sense. I couldn't say, I can't identify, other than to identify any particular thing that I knew was going to be leading me toward this type of research. I just knew that I could tell it wasn't the generals that were in charge. And I could tell from the media that it wasn't our government that was in charge.
mhm,
I just had a sense there's something above all of this. And so over the years, watching and realizing how good my mind control is of me, where
mhm,
I'm just totally hoodwinked, like unbelievable deception that I have been living,
right.
that I kind of realized over time this has to be a non-human intelligence. And now my research has led me to, oh, they've been here for millennia, and they're certainly non-human, and they run the planet. They have My experience is they have operatives within our government because they need them to basically control humanity. So there has to be folks within the government who are willing to work for them for good money and to keep your mouth shut.
Mhm,
And all I can say around that is it's not just our government; it's every government. Like the ones who manipulate and control the planet, industry, big pharma, banks, media. They might be a small group of humans, which I'll call the cabal,
mhm,
but I can say almost positively they are either hybrids or completely alien, as they are way too smart and they've been doing this for far too long to understand how the community is going to react to everything that's occurring on the planet and how they keep humans down. They
mhm,
would have to be an intelligence far beyond what we are. And so that's my impression, is that we're dealing with an alien intelligence, kind of like an AI, that
mhm,
has been many, many years ahead of where society is going in any moment. And they know exactly what they need to do next to keep us in the milieu of there's no such thing as aliens.
mhm,
Because if humans long ago realized we're being controlled, humans don't like that. And we
mhm,
rise and we
mhm,
get mad. And that's what's occurring with, people starting to demand disclosure.
right.
Unfortunately, they're demanding it from our American government as if the American government is is the controlling entity, and I can absolutely promise you they're not.
Right, right. Yeah, no, but at least I guess it's some type of um, start, some type of,
Sure. I mean, it's
you know,
it's the right direction. I think you're right. I
right.
mean, at least people are starting to step back and go, "Wait a minute, you can't tell me that anymore. We have too
Mm-hmm.
much evidence. You
Right.
as a government official cannot tell me that." So someone is speaking against what the government has been told to say
Right. Right.
by a little bit higher entity.
Mm-hmm.
But now humans are going, okay, we're not going for that anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
what's great about that is if we continue to talk and continue to talk on these types of shows, the cabal will eventually, I mean, I believe at this point it's already failing. And that's why you and I are having this discussion. I
Mm-hmm.
believe they're on the run already because Sophia is rising,
Mm-hmm.
humans are rising. It's just our time, and we're
Right.
unstoppable. We are unstoppable as love.
Exactly. Exactly. And once people start to realize also that no matter what path you lead, as long as you're leading it with love, will return. All of us will get to the same place. You start with love, you end with love, and everybody is this. It's in the exact same place. People right now, humans think they're so separate. We're so different, and we're not.
We're not at all.
We're not. You know, sure, I got this color hair right now, but if I want to, I could dye it tomorrow and be another. And
Our avatars and our
yeah,
personality and our consciousness
right.
is different. They can be a different consciousness with a little bit different ideas and this way of moving through energy. But at the end of the day, yes, we're
Yeah,
all just one big ball of love.
yeah, exactly.
There is no separation. Yeah.
Exactly.
Like John Lennon said, love is all there is.
Uh-huh. Yeah, he was way ahead of his time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
um, so now this is the first book of the series.
Mm-hmm.
How many are you planning, or is there just like continue to write?
It's a good question. I don't plan. I will continue to write because I'm fascinated about the rest of our covert history, about
Mhm.
what I know to have occurred that's not reported in media and it's not in history books. And I'm excited to write about those events in volume 2.
I'm excited for you to write them too because that
Yeah.
history is boring. The one that's written is very boring.
Right.
I like the what stuff that nobody really talks about, nobody really knows about. That's the reality to
Right.
it.
And I think you'll like this, Glenda, because I'm a storyteller, so I write screenplays. I'm all
Right.
about the story has to be first. It's got to take you out of your week. It's got to make you escape.
Yeah.
It's got to be a place for you. You just tell people, please just leave me alone. I'm in the middle of a great novel. I don't want to be bothered. Like that's the
Right.
experience I want to have,
Right.
and that's what I've attempted to create with Hush, and from the feedback that I'm getting, and obviously it's become an international bestseller. People are saying kind of like, oh my God, the whole thing just reads like a movie. I couldn't put it down and it took me a month to read it. I had to still work in my life, but it took me a month to get through because it's so darn big. But they loved the book and they said it was just like one big long movie, which is the way I write anyway. So,
Well, it's good because you take the reader through full details.
mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you couldn't take them away.
Right.
So the details, like you said, okay, the farm, this acre, this land, this farm, that farm, whatever, and you drove everybody through everything. You had to know the actual details. So when a
Mm-hmm.
person, if they ever visit, they could say the book, oh my God, I know what this is. I know exactly where this
That's
is.
right.
I know exactly where that is.
That's right.
And as an author myself, when I
Yeah.
wrote my couple of books, the first one in my series that I haven't finished, but
Mm-hmm.
I took the person and they could be in the place that I
Mm-hmm.
had the special scene. Like it
Mm-hmm.
had it had a bar here, it had a dance floor here, and this is how
Nice.
many windows they had, and how
Yeah,
many tables, that kind of thing, where a person could actually go in there and disappear from their world. And
for
that's what your
sure.
books are doing,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
This is how you start to help people remember who they really are and
Right.
get those blinders off and start allowing themselves to be who they really are. They're really
Mm-hmm.
meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm ecstatic. I can't wait to see more of your feedbacks and the people that your subscribers and all that. It's to me, it's a great way to expose the truth without saying this is the truth.
Right. Yeah,
It's
you don't have to defend it.
no, no.
Yep.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
So basically, you're just going to keep writing
Hmm.
until they say, okay, we're there. We're done with what we want people to
I
do.
think
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my heart will know when I'm, I have a big musical background, so I
Mm.
also have a desire to finish the symphony I'm working on.
Oh,
So
nice.
maybe I'll write a couple more of these books, and then we'll see. Maybe I'll take a little break and finish my symphony, and then come back to book number 4. Who knows? I'm not,
Nice.
I'm trying to stay right here with you this moment.
Right.
And whatever tomorrow brings is what tomorrow brings, because this moment is pretty darn fun.
Then that's perfect. That's exactly where we should be focusing on this moment and being mindful of every breath we take and every
Hmm.
interaction we have. So,
Hmm.
um, so what other stories or experiences? Just give me another one from the book, so people can
Sure.
have more.
So, yeah. So, about 3 or 4 years ago, you remember the UAP sightings from the military pilots that were
Mm-hmm.
flying off an aircraft carrier, and they had the heads up footage, and then a couple of them spoke in front of Congress, and everybody got all pumped up like, wow, it's a UAP, which I believe those videos are UAPs. I believe those are alien ships because of what they're doing, going submerged and then still flying at the same terrific velocities and then popping back up. So that's alien technology.
Right.
And you're getting to see it. So that's the real deal. But what was interesting was, now it's been 3 years, and do we have any information? No. Did Congress say, did anyone say, okay, now we got these videos, we definitely have no. And that's the whole point, is that the cabal will allow you to get excited because they play both sides to keep you in this, I don't really know what happened there. And here we are 3 years later. We don't know any more about those UAPs. You haven't had a group of researchers study the trajectories. The military's not saying, here's the raw footage.
Mm-mm.
Let's give you all this stuff, because they know they can't, because the cabal says, oh, no. We'll let this die down now, and we'll move on to the next thing. So now you've got the flat earth people who are
Right.
spinning this whole thing up. And then and it's just like the cabal plays both sides to keep you in this system
Mm-hmm.
of not really ever believing that there's anything but humans. And they do it so brilliantly that's why I say, to me, there is extraterrestrial intelligence involved in that group. They are too far ahead thinking to be human, to just be humans. There's no humans that are that smart, and they've been doing it far longer than a human can survive. So there
Mm-hmm.
has to be turnover, unless it's alien AI or alien entities, because some alien races are known to live for 600 years. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, it's not humans that are running the show, is all I'm
No,
saying.
and I don't know if a lot of people know this or not, but a lot of people do. Well, they don't realize that the president isn't the top. There's at least 30 something levels of clearance up. So
Good. Right.
who are they? you know,
Right.
eh,
Exactly.
that they're really the ones that have more control over the country than we think or we.
There you go. And that's
Yeah.
very much covered in Hush. So if you read the novel, you will absolutely completely understand all the levels that you're playing with
Mhm.
currently on the planet. You'll understand all of the mechanisms that allow military contractors to get assigned what's called unacknowledged special access programs to reverse engineer alien technology, whereas
Mm.
other companies will only get special access programs, which is like, I'll have you work on the B1B, but it's not, it's top secret, but it's not top secret 22, which is
Right.
an unacknowledged special program to work on alien related reverse engineering technologies.
Right.
So the Hush really goes into it through the story of how the cabal has hidden all of this technology below all these different governments that are involved. It's not just the American government that
No.
has alien traded technologies. There are many governments now that are participating even off-world in the interplanetary corporate conglomerate.
Mm-hmm.
So once you realize, God, oh my God, this thing is out into the galaxy and beyond the ones who run it,
Mm-hmm.
then you start to realize, like, wow, once again, the hoodwink really kind of stings when you realize, God, you could have not told me 8 years ago that we had a secret space program. Now I'm absolutely certain, positive that
Mm-hmm.
we've had one since the late 70s, out
Mm-hmm.
in space since the late 70s. It takes a while to
Right.
understand it, to realize the hoodwink is so pristine. They're so good at it.
Well, it's that's how they get away with it. They have to
Mm-hmm.
take care of all the I's, all the T's, all
Yeah.
the periods at the end of that sentence, and all that other stuff. And they see things way ahead. They're able to see the possible reactions all at the same time and know which way to go to create that one type of reaction
You're
that they so
exactly
desire.
on it, and that's why I'm convinced it's an extraterrestrial intelligence, because they know what humans will do as a group when they get any given set of information. They
Hmm.
know roughly how they're going to react, and they know how to play the opposite side to adjust that reaction any
Right.
way they want, and they know how to do it for years in advance of when we
Hmm.
actually hit that moment in time.
Right.
So to do that, that's humans can't do that. We don't
Hmm.
know enough about ourselves to say, well, the group in Africa is going to respond this way, and the group in, no, we're not that good. We're
No,
just not.
we're not. Um, yeah, I could just imagine that. Oh, Lord. Um, and also the fact that they not just know so much in advance, but they know, like you said, every group, how they're going to react. And if they miscalculate, they know how to recalculate,
Hmm.
which is something very interesting. Now,
Hmm.
when you decided to write this, what was truthfully your first reaction? Like the idea came to you, you were channeling, they said to you, you got to write about this. Were you like, no? Or were you like, no way? Or, like,
I didn't have any of that, actually. What I had was, I was reading about all these events, right? I was reading,
right.
let's just take Roswell as an example. So if I'm reading about Mac Brazel, I'll just use
Hmm.
his name because he's
Right.
such a central character that everyone knows. He was the
Right.
rancher where he had like basically a mile long field of what looked like to him aluminum foil at the time.
Hmm.
And your listeners already know this, but essentially he reported it to the Army, and then he reported the dead aliens on his property to the Army, and then he said on the radio station at Roswell, uh, to the disc jockey there, I have found this stuff on my land, and they announced it the next day that a saucer has been found. That's all from Mac Brazel. The newspaper announced it on the 8th of July,
Hmm.
1947. The very next day, the Army not only rescinded it, they literally physically took Mac Brazel into the radio station,
Hmm.
and he had to recant and say, no, it was a weather balloon, and I lied for these reasons, and it was a mistake, and blah blah blah. And
Right.
what's fascinating, I think, kind of getting back to your question of um, how it came to be, as far as me writing and whether I was going to do it or not, what I found in all those accounts is that a lot of times I was reading something that was very dry, because it was somebody trying to say, this had happened on this day and this is my proof of it. And they were always trying to kind of validate what they were writing. And I get that. And I like that when somebody kind of gives you some proof of how they came up with, well, Mac Brazel was here on this particular day at this
Right.
particular time. And they say, I know this because Jane Johnson was there and she said it. I like that stuff, but it's a little bit dry to read. So I
Right.
decided that the most fun stuff for me to read is where there's an adventure happening, but within that adventure, if it's built around around factual events, then I get to experience it like first person, that I'm
Mm-hmm.
there because I've
Mm-hmm.
got the factual events to kind of stabilize the story. And I'm just putting you in the head of Eisenhower or Mac Brazel or Mac Brazel's wife, or in the case of my protagonist, it's a female physicist named Viola Kells, and she's experiencing things. And I won't tell you how all that winds together, because that's the fun of
Right.
reading the novel. But there's also, the Audible should be out any moment now. We turned it in about 10 days ago, and it takes them 10 days to review it. It's 22 hours of
Ooh,
yours truly
all
reading
right.
the book. So that's kind of fun. You can do that when you're riding your bike and whatever else you do.
Yes, that's great.
Riding your broomstick. Yeah, right.
A broomstick, yeah. My
Speaking of
black
which, I'm
broomstick.
yeah, before, I'm not supposed to ask the host questions, but Glenda, I got to
Yeah,
know certain things.
go
I
ahead.
need to hear, and I'm sure your listeners have already heard this, but I don't get to listen to all these podcasts. I'm busy as a writer. I'm pretty darn busy. So I love all this stuff, but I don't get to hear all the stories. So I just need to know your favorite remembrance of the most amazing thing that occurred in your magical life.
The day I was told by what I call the archangels that I could walk. It was the day before I was 2. They came, they took my hand and got me up. I was not supposed to walk in this lifetime. That's the
Wow.
most magical event in my life. After that,
Wow.
of course, it's children and all that other stuff. But yeah, that's the
Wow.
day. And that's why I remember exactly when it was and everything, because it was the day before my birthday.
So you were laying on the ground and you were laying
I,
in a
my
crib?
mother, no, my mother used to sit me in a little rocking chair in the afternoons so she could actually do stuff
Right.
because she had to carry me wherever I went.
Yeah.
And that day, while she was doing stuff, they came. I used to talk to them all the time in my gibberish, whatever. And I got told, "Come on, you can walk." And I said, "No, I got told I can't walk." "No, you can walk." And they took my hand, and I started walking.
That's awesome. That's
My
the best
mother,
story.
yeah, screamed,
Saw you walking.
fainting, yeah, fainting,
Yeah. Wow.
neighborhood, rush.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a lot.
How awesome. What a
Yes,
great moment in time. That's so
yes.
awesome.
So that was my biggest, most memorable one.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fun.
So, but we all go through different things. And I'm
Hmm.
not saying that other memories or remembrance are not as great, but that
Mm.
is the one that comes to me as my first one, real big.
So
So,
awesome. I wish I had memories like that of, extraterrestrial. I know many people have. Of, I
yeah.
wish I had memories of anyone talking to me from the inside or outside. I don't. I just feel like I was just kind of the regular Joe kid, with my
Well,
brothers and sister. I
you
don't
never
remember
know.
anything anyway.
You
Yeah,
never know, though.
yeah.
You could have, might have been shut down for
Hmm.
that section of your brain because the atmosphere, the environment at that time. So that's you just never know. Huh,
Mm.
who knows? Maybe I could get you in and I could kind of help you remember one of these things.
Sure,
So
I'm in.
all right. Now, is there anything that you want to tell the audience? We're kind of closing, coming near to the end, that you haven't said, haven't spoken.
I don't think so. They can go to mdselig.com if they want to find more links about what I do and my novel. But
Mhm.
other than that, I think you and I have covered what I consider the really important stuff today.
Good. Good. Exactly what I like to hear. And thank you for being here. Just
Mm,
hold down for a second. I want to thank our audience for always supporting me. Please remember to share because sharing is caring. Come on, guys. You know how that is. And subscribe if you have not subscribed. Like I said, I don't charge. My channel is free, and everything is there is for you to remember and to help you heal. So, as always, love you. Bye.